lip that on the front of the wheel, and the tire snaps over that lip. Hello again, everyone. Welcome back to another plastic model build. 1956 Ford pickup. Skill level 4 out of 5 is a Revell, which I tend to like the Revell kits molded in white. 78 parts. I thought this was a gray color or silverish gray, but I think that is black. We can probably tell when we open it up. There's a look at the body, the engine compartment. Front and rear glass and some headlights, looks like. There's a cab and the bed. Red tail lights. Low profile tires. Chrome wheels, a little bit of chrome there with the bumper and the grill. 2 axles. So this has both front and rear metal axles. And some decals. Oh, okay. Got some wood bed decals. I like that. And again, here's one reason I like the Revell kits. Part name with an ID number where you know what each part is. There's the colors. Look like we got a lot of black. Black and aluminum. If you watch my videos, you know the drill. We're going to paint with a brush on all these parts. And I have the body parts over here. And all of these parts will get the gloss black. Here's the way I do these parts on the parts tree. These engine halves, they were attached right here. So I cut that loose on each one. This one was over here. And snip that away. We can get in there to paint. Same way on the heads. I detached them right here on one end. Snip that away. And then once we get the engine put together, we go back and touch up where they were attached to the tree. So I think I have all the parts painted. There are all the parts tree attachment points that I snipped out. Here's one thing I thought was kind of different. The sun visors, of course, are going to be gray to match the interior, so they're actually clear or plastic clear attached to the windshield, so we just painted those gray. Now these seats get decals along with the door panels. This gray is fully dried, so let's put those decals on. Start with the door panel decals. That'd be the driver's side. Door latch right there. And that's an emblem that I painted. So number 1 goes on that one. Put him in some water. Go on there. Those went on fairly easy. I do need to touch up a little gray right there. Now we'll put the decals on the seat. It's one on the bottom, one on the back, on each side. All right, we got the bottom of that side on. Now we're going to attempt this one. Who's on the bottom edge of the dash. A little touch up to do above it there. Before I put the water up, now some more decals that need to go on. These go on the brakes. More decals here on the engine. Those are some small decals. But we got them on. The decal on the transmission cover, on the intake, air breather, got a Roush on it with silver stripes. Painted armrest and the switches silver metallic on both. The dash, instrument cluster decal put on, and then of course the stripe. There's the sun visors that I mentioned earlier. The heads, they are small, but there's a decal that says Roush on the ends of the heads. That part points towards the front of the engine. So I think we've decaled about all we can until we get further along. So I'm going to start on step one. We'll start putting the engine together. Step one was actually the decals that we just installed on all the parts. So now we glue the two engine halves together. Oil pan. Interesting that this engine is painted the aluminum. Most of the time we have to paint the engine a orange or red or blue, or not this one. Put the ignition coil, goes on top of the intake. Put the transmission cover on. Scrape a little paint. And then the engine heads and exhaust headers attach here at the bottom. Intake on next, and then the valve covers. And then the starter. Put on a distributor. And I will paint the cap of it black. The rest of it's painted gray. And the front cover. Fan belt assembly. We don't have a conventional mechanical fan that turns. We have electric fans on the radiator housing. The carburetor and the air cleaner cover. See that hole there? It's where the axle goes through. You scrape just a little bit of paint off of the heads and attach these headers. Engine's finished. Our next step is to mount the engine in the frame. Next step is the exhaust, so we're going to let the engine dry a little bit before we attempt that, because we need to flip it over to put the exhaust in. I've glued the rear differential together, so it's drying, and now we're going to put the exhaust on, which means flipping it over. This exhaust has to feed under these two cross members like that, and then it hooks onto the header, and then there's a hole in this cross member that it attaches to. We'll put a little bit of glue, a little bit of glue here, and the other one the same way. You have to feed it up under those cross members. Slid in. And then next is the differential. And then we have to put the drive shaft in at the same time. It doesn't matter which end goes where. But that'll go in the rear of the transmission, and then the differential goes in like that. I think we're all good there. Got a couple of torsion bars that mount between this frame rail and the differential. And then a couple of shocks. Next is going to be the two front brake rotors. These front rotors are different than the rear. They have a little indent. Put the tie rod on. Next is the rear rotors. Tires and wheels. The rear wheels are larger than the front. I think you can see the difference there. And the tires are different. And the wheels actually just snap in. There's a lip that on the front of the wheel, and the tire snaps over that lip like that. And the axle just pushes in the wheel. You go through here, through the engine. Have a tight fit, but they do fit. Same way on the rear. All right. I think all four of them are turning. Next is the interior. And of course, we've already finished our panels and our seat. Everything ready to go in. Get rid of some paint. And that ties everything together when you put that seat in. Just fit on the dash. All right, interior is finished. We're to a stopping point until we do some painting. We got to paint the body. So that's next. Our black paint looks good and we're dry, so we want to put the wood bed decal on next. All right, we're straight. Very gently get the water off of it. That is good. And we'll put this Foose design on the tailgate. Okay, I'm going to stop there because that's not bad. And some really small decals for the wheel center caps. Because those decals weren't showing up very well, I just took them off and I painted the center caps gold. I like that. And the bed on the lower body. Snug fit. Looks good. Okay, I've scraped the paint away from the frame rails and the very back end of the frame because it mates up against the back of the bed. And then here's the two mounting points on each side that the frame rails rest on. Let's put the two headlights in the grill, and then we'll paint the parking lights. Just using a pick on these parking lights. Just a dab of paint on the very end. And it pretty much stays where you put it. Now the rear bumper, it has lights on each side of it. And that's part number 85. They are red. So we don't need to paint that. We just need to glue them in. It's one reason I put this blue shirt down here. Because sometimes on that hard table, when you cut these parts out, they will fly away. Then you got to get on the floor and hunt for them. So that tends to stop that. They start down in there, but they're kind of hanging. So see if I can trim this edge off. See, there went one there, but it stopped. And this one looks the same way. Smooth side goes to the front. Okay, that one's set in there. Let's try the other one. Keep on, I'm going to lose it. Yep, it's in there too, so. Okay, just a dab of glue. Take my pick, put just a dab of glue down in the bumper. Before we call this bumper finished, I do need to put this decal on the back. License plate. We are really close to being finished. Firewall, the interior, mounted on the frame. Hood hinges. You can see them or not. There we go. Hood hinges glued to the hood. Door handles, gas cap. Have the windshield and the back glass in. The mirror. Next, we'll put in the front body panel and the radiator shroud. Body down on the frame. Everything looking all right. Front bumper and grille installed. Well, this model might not have turned out as well as some other folks could have built it, but I did use all the parts. So that completes the build on the 1956 Ford FD 100. What's our next build going to be? 1960 Ford Ranchero Coca-Cola edition. So be looking for that one. Thanks for watching. Hope you've enjoyed the video. If you did, give us a like, comment, and subscribe to our channel. Thanks.